Okay. Amanda, would you like to pass to someone? Thanks for that Cornwall update.
I will. I'll pass to Amber Louise.
Hi everyone, yeah, I'm Amber. We've been trying to set up a CEC for, 10, 11 months now. We're registered as a charity. We've recently been working with the council on a cost of living campaign and having input on that. And we've just signed our heads of terms for a town centre property and hope to sign the lease soon. And we've got loads of things going on, so it's all hands on deck at the moment. I will pass to Robin.
Hi, Robin Curtis. I'm coming in from Cornwall as well. I wear several hats, primarily tonight probably as Transition Constantine, which is a small area between Falmouth and Helston. I also wear hats on the energy front, on the community energy front, but that's probably not of great relevance this evening. So Transition is taking an interest. We've re-kicked off our farmers market after shutdown for a couple of years and getting into discussions about supporting our local community in terms of food prices and energy costs. We're beginning to get our act together. Also working with Vernon, who's also on this call as well. That'll do for now. Over to Cal.
Hi, yeah, I'm Cal and I'm helping Phoenix out at this CEC in training the pot fosters. And I also was at the Ilford one. So just really interested in the project and hearing what solutions are kind of being suggested for this difficult time with the many crises facing our society. Do I pass over to Vernon? Yeah, is that okay, Vernon? Or maybe Dave Dewhurst.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just here to learn. As far as I can see, some people are deeply screwed and most people are pretty messed up. And you have your ideas in your head and like individual strategies, like, you know, buying things in advance can sort of actually sort of screw things up. So it ain't simple. Well, maybe it is simple in terms of redistributing income, but that's easily said.
Nice to see some of the Occupy Economics Working Group beaming in there, Dave. Do you want to pass to someone else?
Right, okay. I'll have to put my glasses on to see somebody else's name. Okay, how about Mike and Rosie North?
Oh, right, we're Constantine as well in Constantine Transition. Robin and Vernon are also here. And we're setting up, well, we're going to do a community lunch for the village. And we thought we might be able to pick up some information on what we can pass on to the villagers.
Cool. Do you want to pass to anyone, Mike,
Oh,
Rosie?
sorry,
Or
yeah. Oh, I'm not sure who's been now.
Put your hand up if you haven't.
Deb's impressed. Oh.
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, we've just got our building about, well, it's nearly a month now. We've been open about a week and a half. Yeah, it's been all right. We've had a few like stragglers in, just wandering in, but I've not been in most of this week because I've been back at work. Yeah, let's not talk about that because it's shit. Yeah. I have been examining this warm arms and warm hubs thing. I've been looking into that, so if we get a chance, I'll discuss that later. Yeah, I'll pass to who's not been. Helen.
Yeah, well, I want you all to sing to me. It's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
After three, everyone, 1, 2, 3. To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
Helen. Happy birthday to you.
All right.
So how's that for dedication. It's my birthday and I'm on a Zoom meeting.
Oh, we love you. I'm going to give you this plant when I meet you, or when I come
Thank
up
you.
to come up and see the opening of your lovely new centre.
Yeah, so we've hopefully got a centre. We're just sort of negotiating the contracts. The lady in charge of the shopping is going to her big bosses to give very good reasons why we don't have to pay any service charge. So, but she's been away on holiday. I think she's back today or yesterday. So we're just a little bit waiting till things get going. We were going to go and have a look round last week. Unfortunately, Andy's father-in-law died. I ended up with a hospital appointment arriving on the same day. So we've just taken a slight setback, but it's going forwards. We have a big day in a park near the university called Unity Day, which we went to about 10 days ago. And we've got quite a lot of the students saying that they're going to volunteer. So we're sort of pulling in more and more volunteers as well. So hopefully it'll all flow. And I'll pass to Faye.
Hello, everybody. It's my first session here. So I am a trustee at the Seaford Environmental Alliance, which is a hub in Seaford in East Sussex. We've been open since October of last year. We're really busy with lots and lots of different things because we're connected to all kinds of different environmental groups around the area. One of the things I'm very interested in hearing about, we did do a cooling station actually during the hot spell. I decided to open up on those very hot days and give out iced drinks. And it happens to be that the hub where we're in, which is an old NatWest Bank, is a very cool building. So people could come inside and just cool down. So I'm very interested in how we're going to be dealing with this, a heating station, no, a warm place for people to come to, how that's actually going to work. Whether that's just during the opening hours. I mean, we're only open on a Thursday, Friday and Saturday. We're totally voluntary led, as I suspect you all are. I don't know how it works with other areas. So we're all volunteers. So we're finding that, you know, getting the amount of volunteers we need to open more is quite difficult. But there's lots and lots of things going on. I'm going to try and do some volunteer management courses and things like that. I have done that before, and we possibly might be employing somebody to do that role. Anyway, as I just said, it's really about the cost of living crisis that we're dealing with in all areas of the UK. And the reason I'm interested tonight is particularly because of the warm, whatever they're called, warm things.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and do
Thank
I pass?
you.
Is that it? Sorry,
Put
for
your
everybody.
hand up if you haven't been anyone, so that they can see who we pass to.
Oh, can I pass to Catherine Lewis? Catherine Lewis? Not sure.
Hi. Yeah, I'm missed the start. I'm really sorry. So I'm not sure what we're supposed to be sharing, but I'm
Just who we are and what we're doing, Catherine.
Sorry?
Just who we are and what we're doing.
Okay. So I work for fuel poverty team for an energy advice charity in Cornwall. So I'm working every day with people who are really on the edge of already with the energy crisis, and obviously hearing a lot of distress of what's coming down the line. So that forms a lot of the wider work that I'm doing. I'm also very involved in my local climate action group, and I'm here with Jenny and Charmian. The three of us are involved in Cornwall Climate Action Network, so we're also looking to support local climate action groups across Cornwall to address this. We've been talking about various ways that we can support communities and groups in terms of getting things out to people in our community who are going to really struggle in the winter. Basically, just to keep them warm, but also starting conversations in our communities around warm spaces. I've started one locally in my town with everybody that I can think of that might be thinking about this and how we can coordinate. So just, yeah, be here to find out what's happening in other places. Really, we don't have a climate emergency centre in my town yet, but hoping we'll have a community hub very soon, along with other communities across Cornwall. I'm going to pass to who hasn't yet.
Malik's got the hand up. You can use the reactions thing, put your hand up and down.
Okay.
Hello.
So I'll pass to Malik then.
Good evening. Good evening, all. I'm Malik, also known as Mark, and I'm from Islington. I work very closely with the Enfield CEC team, which I guess is Phoenix and Linda. Yeah, so I've just got two observations that I wanted to share with the team, with us all. So the first observation is, we are, I guess, going through one of the hottest summer on record, according to the records. But we're also about to face one of the coldest winter on record because of certain people's greed, right? So maybe we might not be able to do much this year, but how do we capture all this hot energy that we're getting into summer and be able to utilize it during the winter when this hot energy that we're getting for free becomes very expensive? Should we be having a think tank about how do we do something like that? Maybe, I just thought this idea a minute ago. Maybe one of the ways we've got to be looking at is, energy exchange. What could we do with this hot energy that we're capturing this summer, utilize it somehow and gain some credit, which we could use to buy expensive hot energy in the winter? So that's just observation that came across my mind, and I thought I'd share it with everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I may, I'll respond to that because renewable energy and energy storage is one of my topics. There are some projects around where people are storing summer heat for use in the winter. Like, for example, there's a school that's heated in the winter with the heat they collect underneath the tarmac in the driveway and the playground. And under my own conservatory, we've got an interseasonal heat store. But it's really, really expensive to install such things. And many years ago, I went to Greece and I saw they got a huge, for a new housing estate, they got a really huge concrete water tank to heat up in the summer and then use that water to heat the flats in the winter. But it's really, really expensive. And there are lots of heat losses along the way.
I'm just wondering how that would work in the north, because we don't get like as hot as in the south, and then in the winter it's always colder as well. So I don't know if that would work up here really, but it's an interesting idea and concept.
Invest in infrastructure about 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Next.
Charmian and I could probably wax lyrical on this subject because it's part of my day job, but not necessarily going to jump in there. There are ways and means of doing some of this. But it might be that other areas that we look at where peak solar electric, so PV solar, you could make your money, just do it as a financial transaction, make you earn your revenue in the summer and use that revenue to help out in the winter is probably the easier thing than searching for the technical answer. The technical answer is actually very challenging, but there are ways of doing it. Scandinavia does quite a lot of heat storage from summer to winter. It's more difficult in the UK because we actually have very wet ground conditions. But anybody wants me to drone on about it offline, I'll be happy to do so.
Can I just add something to that? Oh, I think from a CEC point of view, we should be looking at this from a strategic point of view. You know, maybe this is something all CEC organizations need to kind of pay close attention to, and we act as one. Because it's not even, because we talk about this technical infrastructure, there could be just be a simple case of we find out a money-making project we could do with all this heat in the summer and save that money to offset the cost of how much we're going to have to pay for heat in winter in terms of activities we do at CEC.
Sorry, guys, I just had a little bit of problem with my internet. I think it cut in and out for a few minutes, so I was trying to get good there. So I might have lost the last few minutes, but looks like it's still recording. So just to say, I want to bung a few bits out here to get the ball rolling a little bit more. We may see how we get on with this conversation. We may want to go into breakout rooms for 10 minutes or so, just to see whether Danny can help with that at some point, if we think that's good at some point, just to discuss different ideas. But just to bung a few ideas out on what we came to talk about, you know, the cost of living crisis, fuel poverty issues coming up majorly. I mean, there was a lady who used to come to Occupy London, Dave, remember, Ruth, used to talk about 10,000 people died every winter due to fuel poverty. And that's before this looming crisis that is coming. And it is going to be very bad for a lot of people. I think Helen, was Leeds, a group flagged up a few weeks ago that Leeds Council, or one of the councils, was looking at hiring massive buildings to put in heaters to keep people warm during the winter. There's a Guardian article I sent out on this, I'll post it again in the chat, but basically the government's talking about using museums, maybe libraries, maybe other public spaces to keep people warm, because they know thousands of families are going to come out during this cost of living crisis because they can't afford to heat their homes. So, you know, what can we as a network do to help and support this? I did speak to...
I think it was Preston, wasn't it?
I'm in Preston. Debs, were you mentioning that?
About what, sorry?
The council looking at hiring large buildings to put in generators.
I didn't mention it, but I can't remember who it was. I do remember it, or the story, and I've been looking into it a bit myself, like see what our council's up to. But they're still working on the programme.
Okay.
But they're going to let us know. They're going to let us know and keep us informed, because someone seemed to think if the climate emergency centres did offer them spaces up to be warm spaces, then it might be that there's a pot of funding in the council to help cover with energy bills and stuff.
So I suppose that's one action point to the network from this meeting. Could we all go away and research, is there any pots of funds available in our boroughs, counties or areas that if a climate emergency centre decided, there's 19 of them now around the country now, with Preston being the 19th open up and hopefully Leeds opening soon. Some of these buildings, when we negotiate the meanwhile lease, sometimes because you're saving a lot of money on the business rates for the owners, sometimes they pay all or some of, or a cap up to a certain point they'll pay, and beyond that your group has to pay on the electric bill. So there may be a situation where 1 or 2 rooms could have a couple of extra radiators in, and as a network, just in a small way, we could help and say to people, we're open this many days a week, and if people want to come into these couple of rooms, there'll be, you know, donations, tea available and a couple of radiators on. So that is one idea that we could talk about. So maybe, you know, talking about in our groups or areas what we could do, trying to research if there's more funding. A lot of families are going to be choosing. So these are just discussion points I'm chucking out here, and then back to the group. We may do a breakout on things, but you know, a lot of families are facing choices between eating and eating, and it's bad already. when this, you know, few £1,000 bill comes in, it's going to get even worse. So, and a lot of people are going to come out to their homes. So how, as we as a network, can we help and support that?
Can I speak a minute, Phoenix?
Yep. So over to Linda, and then anyone else wants to say anything, either put your hand up physically or use the reactions thing down the bottom there to raise a hand. We can see who's 1, 2, 3 like that and lower it. So over to Linda and then Jenny. Linda helps with the space generators and CEC.
So I'm a trustee at Space Generators along with Phoenix. One of the thoughts I had is that we actually contact the energy companies and we kind of put it on them just to help to contribute to large warming centers, i.e. a school, a church, you know, in one of those big church halls, a community center. Most of the CECs are not in big spaces, but there are places that do have big spaces that are going wanting. And I think the energy companies, especially those conscious ones, like Ecotricity, or you find out who the alternative energy companies are in your area, start with that, and then contact them, and let's put it on them to say, we need warming centers. So how can you help us identify and fund those centers? And then we contact the council and say, you know, council has lots of council buildings as well available. Let's see what's available for that. Maybe the schools, that's a logical thing, because we want to keep the children warm. So maybe the gymnasium at the school or some big room at the school. And then there's also like wherever the senior centers are, we contact the senior centers and see if they are willing to provide space for a heating, a warming center, if we can get them help with the rates. The other people who make a lot of money are nursing homes, care homes, and private ones. And they might be willing also to open up their doors to senior citizens to come as a warming center. They generally have like a community room there. Anyway, those are just a few thoughts of how we can help identify it, even if we can't provide the space for them. If we can do some research, these are our energy providers, these guys are willing to help, and here's a center in our area.
Okay, that's great ideas, Linda. We'll pass back over to Jenny, number 1, then Dave, number 2, and then Mark, number 3, and the old occupied stack, as they used to call it. And if Danny is listening, maybe you can pop in and check. We might want to do a 10-minute breakout room so that everyone gets a chance to chat with 3 or 4 people about some ideas. Jenny, over.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jenny. I'm also down in Cornwall. I know there are a few of us here from Cornwall this evening. Really nice to meet everybody. I'm being rather nosy, really. I want to find out a bit more about climate emergency centres primarily. That's why I'm here, because I don't think we do have one in my community or necessarily in Cornwall yet. Really interested in all of those ideas that people have put forward. And I just wondered, I've just come out of a meeting from Cornwall Climate Action Network where we've been talking about supporting our climate action groups across Cornwall and doing, you know, draft busting parties and helping to educate and support local communities about how to keep warm in their homes. But in respect of the climate emergency centres, I just would put a question out there to find out whether other CECs are working with their community climate action groups. And I'm quite concerned. I like Mark, Malek, not quite sure if I got your name right. Really like the point that you've raised about being strategic about energy use and energy storage, because I've done quite a bit of energy auditing in my time, and I'm quite concerned that obviously we're talking about vulnerability and keeping people warm, and vulnerable people warm this winter, but I don't want us to be contributing to global warming and the climate change by actually heating old redundant buildings which are not insulated and actually expending more energy overall. So I'm just wondering, a really good way of linking in getting the funding will be to both be insulating those, but Linda's idea, using spaces which are already being heated, like the care homes, fantastic. But if you're using other buildings, using the opportunity to draft proof them and do some energy work to make sure that those spaces are really efficient, so that we're reducing carbon overall instead of adding to the burden of heat. Sorry if I went on a bit there.
Great, Jenny. Really useful inputs. Let's all make some notes and think about some action points we can come out of this from, and if we can follow up or supply any documents to the network, any useful things, like there's quite a few you just mentioned there, Jenny, that would be great. Over to Dave, Occupy Economics Working Group. Department.
Apart from saying we're all whatever, things individuals could do if they pay by something like standing orders, direct debits rather, and I realise quite a few people aren't even at that level. You can challenge, and I've got an 80-plus-year-old friend who, when they said, yeah, we are raising your direct debit to something massive, he said, no way, I'm not taking it, don't do it. And you can lower those things down. It's almost a game of chicken between the individual and the energy suppliers. So you don't have to do immediately anyway exactly what they say. I mean, there are all sorts of, official pathways round, which are very bandwidth consuming to follow. The other message, I suppose, which is community related, is each of us, when we're doing nothing much, give out the same sort of heat as an old-fashioned light bulb. So the more of us you get together in one room, the more ecological that is, the more community, and the more it saves energy by getting people together. So, get that across to people. I mean, there's the whole broader political level, like, if we're not going to nationalise it immediately, we need windfall taxes and arguably some kind of rushing. I mean, there are complex schemes you could work out for that. But the individual stuff, it gets, you start feeling, should people have to do all these things? And like a lot of people, nourish themselves with rubbish. Any food which has VAT on it is probably bad for you and is more likely to give you a heart attack. I mean, Birmingham Food Council worked out that the health services were paying out more on fixing people with stuff like diabetes from rubbish diets from VAT rated food. Not that a little bit of red wine might not do you much harm. But it's a difficult, complex thing. It takes time, it takes attention, and a lot of people don't have that, and they're sort of too desperate. Anyway, I mean, the other thing is, I mean, my son and I have just bought 42 cans of baked beans from the wholesaler Bother, I think, and an equivalent amount of loo roll. Not that you need to use loo roll if you've got a shower head, but let's not go into that. There are all these sort of thrifty things that my grandmother's taught me, but that can get a little bit of, hey, it's your fault if you're cold, which you need something more communal. But those are a few little pointers.
Great ideas and input as always, Dave. Yeah, renationalise the electric companies. So the utility companies might be a good start. Over to Mark, and then Amber, Louise, and Debs.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, this is another observation that could turn into an idea. And it's really kind of based on, if we look at the pandemic, as bad as it was, there was some opportunities that came out of it. Number one is remote working, which actually has made a lot of people see people's quality of life. So with this, so what we got coming up, where we're saying to people, come out of your house for 5 hours or 8 hours, to a place where you can have some warmth and you're not using so much energy and building up costs at home. That's what we're saying. But at the same time, we have to understand human beings, they like their home comfort. But the other problem that we also know that's there is the actual isolation, the lack of socialization. So I think it needs to be at least a two-strand strategy where we're saying, come out your home to get warmth at this communal place, but at the same time, it's also a place to offer some kind of holistic well-being in terms of socializing with others, educating them at that place. So we're not just saying come out your house because your house is cold. We're saying come out your house and experience some kind of enrichment, whether it's education, whether it's meeting people and all that kind of stuff. And I think if we look at it, if we operate strategically from that point of view, I think the local authorities need to actually be making some contribution so this could be rolled out effectively in these big spaces, Yeah, so I think it's something CEC heads could try, let people know about.
Nice, Mark. Thank you. Always good ideas. I'm going to put over to Amber and then Debs. And just to say what you said there's a mutual aid network, 2,000 set up during COVID. Maybe we could contact local mutual aid group networks, see if they can help with warm hubs or advice, whatever. Amber Louise, sorry.
Yeah, when we get our building, we won't have the space to operate as a warm hub, but I like the idea of finding in our community spaces that could be made into warming centres. And I'm just wondering how, the logistics of, getting vulnerable people to and from the hubs, if anyone had any ideas on this. I've got a meeting with the council tomorrow morning, and I have already mentioned about warming hubs. I saw the article in one of the forums, and this was just one aspect that I couldn't kind of get my head around, how we might get lots of people to and from warming centres.
You contact the Community Transport Association, Amber, the CTA. That might be a good place to start.
Okay.
They're active across the UK.
Okay, thank you.
There's lots of volunteer organisations as well, like ours, who, for example, during COVID, worked with mutual aid groups to move people around when required. The Community Transport Association will know the people, the organisations in your area who options.
Thanks, Amanda.
Shall I go?
Go ahead, Debs.
Yeah. I was going to say, because we're going to try like a coffee morning tomorrow in the morning, and we're holding we were thinking of having a discussion about how people can save energy but still stay warm, and just getting tips from each other really. So I don't know if people are going to come. I'm going to be nervous. I'm going to buy a load of coffee and maybe only one person will come. But yeah, there's a campaign as well. It's called Warm the Person, Not the Home. So it's about giving tips and tricks to people, like using hot water bottles and sleeping bags and stuff. Yeah, what was I going to say? But I work on telephone lines for universal credits, and a lot of people now, they can't even afford the bus fare to go to the job centre. So I'm just thinking how people can even afford to come into town centres, to these centres, and that people just mentally broken, aren't they? A lot of people, as well as broke in the person. That. So
yes,
yeah.
I'm wondering if that comment about mutual aid groups that were incredibly important during COVID. Lots and lots and lots of people who did all sorts of things. I'm wondering if, well, it's not a wonder really. They will definitely have a role to play here, and they might be able to help you move people from where they are to a warm centre and home again, as well as the Community Transport Association that works with organisations that do that. So the mutual aid groups are community groups, groups of citizens, and the Community Transport Association will know of organisations and charities that do the same sort of thing. Might also be worth asking, at the moment in Cornwall, for example, we've got, I still think it's a lot of money to pay for a ticket to go anywhere, £5 in Cornwall, anywhere. That people might be worth asking the council to see if they can offer more discounted bus fares or free bus fares. It's going to be cheaper for them to do that than to pay to hospital somebody who starving and from.
All good input. Sorry, my internet connection's a little bit in and out. I hope it's recording okay, because this is really, really dynamite stuff. Can you hear me? Wave your hand if you can hear me. Yeah, okay. So
Another thought, Phoenix, might be that we co-locate the food distribution centers with the warming centers. Because as Debs is saying, you know, people coming across town or coming in to get anything, if they could get more than one need met at the same time, might be a good idea.
you mean linking to food banks and things? Yeah.
Food banks, if the food were distributed at a warming center, you see, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, there's an idea. Link with distribute food as well at the. So just a couple of things that Manda, I think you've got some really great input to put in, but apparently sometimes people are struggling to hear a couple of bits. So if, like myself and others, if you switch your video off, much as we love to see lovely faces, it's sometimes the bandwidth's better and then we can hear the voice better.
It's not, sorry, it's not a bandwidth. I get lots of bandwidth issues, but this isn't a bandwidth issue. I don't know what this is, but Catherine, could you hear and repeat what I said? Because you know what I'm saying, don't you? About the working with the Community Transport Association, the mutual aid groups, and also the council to see if they've got discounted bus options, and also maybe talk about the packs that CEP is handing out. That might be useful as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I could hear you really clearly then, and I don't need to repeat about the transport, but yeah, we're working on putting together winter warmth boxes containing everything from heated throws, hot water bottles, hats, thermal curtain linings, through to slow cookers, and looking at how we can get those out to vulnerable people in our communities. We're raising funds for that at the moment, and this is one of the conversations that we've been having.
That's really good.
Sorry. Was that?
I'm going to try to find Danny. Cal, can you help find Danny? We need some support here.
Yeah, I think the internet connection's a bit unstable where we are. There's three of us on it, I think. Just to say, there's some really great ideas and things come up. Please put things into the chat. We'll try and summarize it afterwards to put something out. What you just mentioned there, Catherine, like what you're putting into these winter warmth boxes, hay box cookers. We saw that in Islington a while ago. Somebody mentioned Royal Voluntary Service might consider repurposing the COVID-19 activity. Maybe if anyone's got a contact with them, please do follow up any of these good ideas or tell us what you're doing in the area. I'm going to post the main Telegram chat in afterwards. We'll keep this conversation going in the main Telegram chat. It is really critical this winter. People are really going to be suffering and choosing between heating and eating. And what can we actually do? Just the basic idea. I don't know if Dave want to say something. If you finish speaking, maybe lower your hand in the reactions, or if you want to still speak, leave. From this is, look, we've had, some climate emergency centres, when they're saving the owners, lots of thousands of pounds on the business rates, the owners in return then will pay the electric bill, or they'll pay 50% of it, something. There may be a situation where on the very, very simplest level, 19, 20, 30 of these different buildings that set up over the next months could just simply, if you've got a big shop, you could have one of those rooms or two of those rooms with kids on, and you could get 20, 30 people come in. And I like what Mark was saying, something like, you know, if we could make it also like Deb's with the coffee more, make it an entertaining, make it an educational, make it a learning, make it a discussion warm hub. You can put 30 people in a room with a couple of radiators and yeah, they'll chat and they'll amuse themselves, but you might want to put something on that, you know, could be a film, could be a reading a book discussion thing, could be a coffee morning discussion, could be something for kids, whatever it is. How can we as a network create some warm spaces? And if anyone wants to do the research for another week, where there is a decent amount of some funding around from either central government or local government, you know, maybe we can tap into that and that can pay some of the electric bill. That's just some ideas there. Yeah, we'll try and create some minutes from this chat, and what I've scribbled down on paper, but it would be more useful to have minutes, I think someone's asked. But yes, we will put some summary on this, but please put useful, I'm going to pass over to whoever else next. There's about 12 minutes left, but please put any useful links to anything you've talked about into this chat, and then we'll summarize it into a document and put it on the main Telegram chat. Over to whoever wants to speak next. Is that Faye or Mark? Malik?
Well, what I wanted to say, I've put in the chat group already, which was, do we actually know how much we spend on charging our mobile phones every month? Because I think we take it for granted, but it might actually add up. And if it does, if there's some help with that across the board, you know, that should be a significant amount of money.
I don't think it costs very much.
I've got a meeting soon with a guy from the festivals who does green renewable energy, and he's talking about creating little packs that can go into climate emergency centers. And on one level, yeah, you could put that in and that can charge people's computers or phones and things. Over to Faye in sunny Worthing, is it?
Seaford.
Seaford. Sorry, the NatWest Bank.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention two things. One thing was, it's a personal thing. I was looking at trying to reduce my electricity bill last year, and I put in a hot boiling tap in my kitchen, which works as a kettle as well as hot water. I then could switch off my immersion heater. I do live on my own, but I could switch off my immersion heater because my shower is electric. So it comes through when I have a shower, it's instant hot water. If I go to the tap in the kitchen, it will fill up a bowl of water. So I can do the washing up from that, and I can get my tea, coffee and what have you with that. And it's very easy to switch on and off during the time. So it really saves money. I mean, I just thought I'd mention that because I think it's quite an interesting thing. You can have one put in a rental place too, you know, for people who are renting. So it's something that anybody could do, and it's not actually that expensive. Mine cost about £300 all in. That was with a plumber coming to put it in. And I know you could say that you might not get that gain back. I don't know. I haven't actually. I was always going to do the experiment of putting it all back on for a week, looking at the smart meter and then turning it all off and looking at the smart meter, but I never did. But I have to say my bills have been, well, they're definitely okay. I mean, they're lower. They're not brilliant, but they're much lower. So I just wanted to mention that as an idea, and also the idea of a split air conditioner unit, because I don't know whether any research has been done into that. A lot of countries around the world who have hot and cold, hot summers, cold winters, use split air conditioning units. When I looked at that, because I've always thought that split air conditioning units are very expensive and they're very energy, they use a lot of energy. But now I look at it, apparently they're not expensive, they don't actually cost a lot. It's actually efficient, and it's an efficient way to heat and to cool. And it's also good for the planet because it doesn't use that much energy. So, and it's also cheaper as well, I think. But that, you know, this is something that's come out of nowhere with me, because I'm always looking at other ideas to save money for myself, but also to help other people. And I'm thinking that's it. That's really what I'm throwing out there, because it was two things that I have come across and I'm still interested in promoting, or even somebody looking at it in all seriousness to see how viable it is for people. That's it.
Really useful. I think from the last couple of conversations I've heard, my mum was World War II generation, and there's a lot of things they did to use a lot less resources than we use now. It's a lovely little thing she gave me once about all the things they recycled and reused during World War II, when a modern day lady at the shopping centre said, "Do you want a plastic bag?" She's kind of like, "Well, in World War II we used everything reused, recycled, and whatever it was. We didn't do the green thing then, but we were pretty green," was what it basically was. Okay, guys, we've got about 10 minutes left. Really useful conversations. Anyone else, stick your hand up if you want to say any more. We'll probably do checkouts, just about, a few minutes to 8. But we need to keep this conversation going. There's the Telegram link I've popped in there. Please do update that with any ideas and conversation and whatever it is. That's the main UKCC Telegram chat. Few things to pick out. One, how can we get our centres to create some warming hubs? Two, how can we find out what groups are already doing stuff? So there's talk about museums, there's talk about libraries. I know 250 libraries are closed down during austerity, but your council is going to be working on it. Julie, a friend of ours who works at the council, said they had an email from the NHS talking about warming hubs or warming havens. And this is the conversation that's going to go on, and there is some funding out there to do it. Any tips or tricks or, ways to reduce? And how can we get together? I like Dave's one about coming together and keeping warm. The old way we used to do it in some of the cold buildings I've been over the years was, we'd put a bit of music on, get a lot of people in a room and dance around a bit, and they would soon get quite hot. You had to take your jumper off. And if we could create some warming, even if it's a coffee morning for 4 hours where 20, 30, 40 people can come in and share coffee, have a natter, talk about some interesting subjects about the environment or community or social issues or solutions, whatever it is, I think that will really help in some ways to get people together. Over to Helen. Over.
Yeah, I'm just going to be not the voice of doom, but the voice of Mrs. Ordinary. I don't really know what you're talking about with split air conditioners. The thing about the hot water thing, I know immersion heaters are bad, but how's it compared to? I think we need something lower level, if you know what I mean, rather than if the people like me who are trying to help don't really understand it in the first place, how can we help other people? We need something really basic on that for all of us, or maybe I'm the only thick one.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
It is a very simple solution, and it really is, because I didn't understand it myself, because I've got one now. I didn't understand it myself, that you actually have a tiny little hot water tank underneath your sink.
Yeah.
And that will keep the temperature. If you keep it on, it keeps the temperature just below boiling. It isn't quite boiling, but it's hot enough to be sanitary, or it's certainly very hot enough to have your tea and coffee. It's boiling. It's only 2 degrees below. It's 98 degrees it goes to. And it's just a tiny, it's like a little box that keeps the water at temperature. So when you're putting it into your sink, for instance, when you're doing the washing up in the morning, you put the very hot water, mix it with cold water, and you have and it fills a bowl, so you can do your washing up. So it really is, I think it's worth looking at, because I know that it's extremely easy. I can't believe it's less, I can't believe it's more of the same efficiency as an immersion heater. I've got a freaking huge immersion heater in my cupboard, and I used to get really angry that I used to have to keep that on, because I don't like baths anyway. It doesn't bother me not having a bath, but if I do, I can switch the immersion heater back on again if I wanted to. And when I'm having a shower, obviously it's only the amount of electricity that I'm using to heat the water while I'm showering.
Yeah. So for me, it's sort of that's against an immersion heater. What about against a combi boiler? What about my combi boiler that's in the attic? Therefore, it takes me gallons to get the water to run hot downstairs, whereas someone else has got a combi boiler in the kitchen. It's sort of, we need to be able to understand how to answer people's questions, saying, I've got this heating system, would it help me? I've got that heating system. Yeah.
Helen, can I suggest that there are centres for sustainable energy type organisations all over the place. I don't know what there is in Leeds, but they will have lots and lots of energy. Also, the stuff that's on the Energy Saving Trust, and as Robin has said, there's a winter well-being pamphlet that's coming out of Community Energy Plus in Cornwall. There are documents that we can all share and websites. So in Bristol, for example, the Centre for Sustainable Energy. In Cornwall, there's a Community Energy Plus. There's lots and lots. There you go, cse.org.uk. They'll have lots of generic information. They're based in Bristol, but they do cover much wider than that. And they could maybe tell you if there are local organisations that you can speak to there, and maybe they can actually come along and give talks or have information available at any sort of climate emergency centres or warm hubs. They can answer those sorts of techie questions, because they can get quite technical. And you're quite right, you want to be able to give the right information.
I mean, I'm not wanting the answers here, but I'm saying we really need to look into the. We can all get those answers easily. Yeah.
Well, that's we'll go to those websites.
Please continue this conversation on the main Telegram chat. Really useful information. I think there's a big appetite for this. A lot of people are really worried about eating. It's bad enough as it is before the few grand bills come in. We're going to do checkout shortly. And if you want to mention anything in your checkout briefly, any feedback, a few sentences about what you think, or post anything in the chat. The link to the Telegram, Catherine, is just a few above. I will probably repost it again if need be, but it's about 4 posts further up. Main CEC. No, I'll just highlight it. So what's to say? Just a couple of things really. There is, we're in some of this pickle because we probably, we privatized a lot of our energy utility companies. And it's a conversation that hasn't been happening for a long time, but I did hear some politician on the news, and I think Dave mentioned renationalising the utilities companies. There's a vast profit being made by some of these companies, and I know that in France and Germany they've done a lot more to keep the bills lower and to cushion people a bit from it. So we need to work on this on many levels. Practical, we're a resilient network of building local community hubs, and try and help each other out locally in any way we can with spaces. This is my sum up, I suppose, and sign out. Let's work as a network to create some warm hubs, create discussion places in those warm hubs about what we can do about the cost of living crisis and the fuel poverty crisis, and help each other through it with all of these things we've talked about tonight. So I will pass over to the next person for their checkout. It's 8 o'clock. Short checkouts from everyone, and any feedback on today's been brilliant. Hopefully we'll finish by about 5-ish past 8 past. We usually try and keep tight here. Thank you very much for coming. Really informative. I will pass over to Chairman Larkey. Did I say it right?
No, not even a tiny bit, but that was hilarious. Thanks, Phoenix.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm not quite sure why you've come to me.
We're doing checkouts. Just any parting comments, how you're feeling about how it went today, or anything you'd like to add to the conversation at the end, because we're finishing. We keep it tight to the hour generally because we're all busy. Over.
It's great that people are sharing things, and it shows that we've all got lots to learn. So I'm hoping we can carry on doing this and learn more from each other all the time.
And choose someone to pass to. Over.
Mike and Rosie.
Yeah, sorry. Nothing to add. We've just picked up loads of information, but obviously there's lots of Constantinies here. So we'll be catching up with them. Thanks.
Pass it over, Rosie.
Oh, pass it over. Faye? Faye?
Oh, yeah, me. I'm sorry. I'm just reading through. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
sorry. I'll come back.
Helen then. Helen?
Yeah, loads of news and more stuff to research and find out about. And I'll pass over to David.
Right. I've put loads of random ideas on my last post on the chat thing. Some of them, maybe sound a little bit obscure because they're very summarized, but you can always email me or contact me through somebody else if you want them opened out. But you can find these things out for yourself. But like I say, there's this what the individual can do, which is sometimes against everybody else, and what you can do as a group, and what you ought to be able to do nationally. But with our system at the moment, is going to take more than the duration of the next winter to do. But I mean, there's always ways through. Some people will die, some people will starve, some people won't. It's a really bad system, but those who take more action are probably, you know, optimism and action is going to sort of be more effective than anything else. That's it. Good luck. And pass over to, I don't know, who else have we? Shamin, have you fed back?
No.
Or whoever, Amanda.
Okay, no, great to speak to everybody. And I think the more we can do this, there's loads of information out there. Loads of people doing brilliant things. And yes, just echoing Shamian that we can definitely all learn from each other. And I will pass over to Debs.
Hi, thanks everyone. It's been really interesting listening to everything tonight. And yeah, I'm going to feed back next week how the coffee morning goes tomorrow. I hope there's not just me and Jen. We'll be like hyper off drinking hot coffee. Right, I'll pass on to Malik.
Did I have my hand up?
Have you done it?
No, I don't have anything to say. I'm just listening.
Just checking out, fella.
Mark, we're just checking out. What that means is to just say at the end a few lines about how you're feeling about how things went, or any parting comments, just a short one, and then we finish.
Oh, okay. Okay, it was great. It was great. It was great. Thank you for having me. You can all see me now. Yeah, thank you for having me, and I would like to join the next one.
Yes, Marky Mark in the house. Lovely. Should I pass over to someone else, Mark? Just choose someone who hasn't spoken, if you can see.
Josie.
Yeah, Josie in the van.
Yes, I just got to my location and I didn't crash, so that's good. Yeah, thank you. It was really good listening to everyone. What I think it was Malik was saying about making it sort of a social space as well really resonated. And also I think it's a great, I mean, it's terrible circumstances, but communalising our resources isn't actually like a bad thing to do, and to use the spaces to in a positive way as well, whilst also recognising the reason we're in this position is because of the greed of the energy companies. So like, I think it should be an opportunity for very like political discussion as well, and that should definitely not be forgotten. But, yeah. Cal.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Like loads of interesting strategies, and yeah, I really echo that thing that Josie just said about using this as a moment to kind of get the people whose fault it is to put something up to the crisis, or the people who have been extracting so much over the years to pay up for it. And happy birthday to, I think, Helen. That was nice. It was nice to sing happy birthday. Is there anyone else who needs to go? Jenny?
Just thank you, everybody. Lovely to meet you. And happy birthday, Helen. I'm starving. I've got to go now. Been on Zoom way too long, but it was really nice to meet everyone. And yeah, have a nice evening. Bye.
Thank you very much for coming. That's why we keep it tight on the hour, because quite often people have done 2 or 3 in a day. And we play one tune of music at the end to get people up out of their seats and dancing, because some people were suffering from over Zooming. Who else is left to go? Please raise your hand in reactions or hand up in the air. Anyone else? I've beamed out already. Anyone else who hasn't been? Catherine, Sunny Cornwall? Go, unmute. Oh yeah. You need. I might need you to unmute, Catherine. Sorry.
Sorry, I've also been on Zoom way too long, came tag teaming meetings this evening. Really lovely to meet you all, and it was so nice to come from a Cornwall-based meeting where we've been discussing exactly this into a much wider meeting, hearing other people grappling with the same issues. So thank you, everybody, and happy birthday, Helen. And I don't know if Amber's gone already, but I hope the meeting goes well tomorrow, and I hope your coffee morning goes well, Debs.
Thank you.
Okay, is that everyone been? Yeah. All right, we have a tradition that we play music because during the lockdown there was people who went 4 Zooms back to back and they hadn't moved out of their chairs. So we're going to play a lovely little classic here, Move On Up by Curtis Mayfield. Thank you very much for coming. Next week we have Dr. Daniel Evans from a group called Urban Cultivate, Cranford University. They are using some new program to identify food growing spaces, bits of land and anywhere that can be used, rooftops in Islington. And they're also using the program to identify empty buildings that could be used by us, so we say. And once they've done the program in Islington, they're going to roll it out around the country. So please come next Wednesday, 7 o'clock if you can. Bring back any info from this week. That could be useful. So thank you very much for coming. Big love to all. Here's Curtis Mayfield. See you out. If you want to wave your hands around, get up out of your seat. It's all allowed. We want to see you moving. Come on, Dave.
Hush not, child.
Come on now.
That's like a demonstration of dad dancing.
Go you start. Yeah, dad dancing. Well, I used to say I was a mad, a cross between a mum and a dad to my daughter.
I'm a mad.
Mad or dumb? Cross between dad and a mum.
Yeah, a mad.
Yeah, still moving. Nice, our people, good stuff. Put some ideas on the Telegram. Keep the conversation going.
Thanks, Phoenix. Bye all.
Bye. I sent you
Best
an
way to
email
keep
as well,
whack the music
Phoenix.
on loud. Get them dancing. Nice one, Debs. Nice one, Dave.
So hush not, child, and don't cry.
All right, see you later, folks. Stop in the door then.